TV. I'm sitting here with one of my favorite companies, Averyl from Between the Rows.
Nice to be here this morning, Ed. Nice to be here.
Oh, come on, it's day 3. We're tired.
We are very tired.
But that doesn't mean you don't come down here because we got tickets available. Day 3 is really the good day to come because a lot of vendors want to get rid of the stuff they don't want to have to carry home.
Yep. And it's a little less busy, so you get a lot more of that one-on-one time with the vendors.
Absolutely.
You really get the moment to connect up with them, see what they're doing, find out how they, where they're from, really try and support your local people and find out who's your local people.
Find out who's your local. There's a lot of out-of-staters and a lot of, actually, a lot of people from Canada, too.
Yeah, yep.
So this is exciting for me. I had Perry Bales from Wicked Frosty Farms on yesterday. I get to speak with you. I mean, actually, we've been hanging out all weekend, but it's nice to, get your face out here. And you're doing a lot for the cannabis community.
Well, I mean, I'm trying. I'm just, about
You're doing. You're not trying. You're doing.
About a year ago, we just found out, how we can help the system and how we can help people in our community get involved. And so we've just been trying to spread the word and get people involved and let people know that this is your chance. Like, this is our industry.
Yep.
If we want it to be how we want it, then we need to stand up and say, this is how we want it. We can't sit back and wait for somebody else to do it. There's that old, I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's an old proverb about, somebody wanted somebody to do something and anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. This is the time for people to be somebody.
So Averyl has a wonderful, not wonderful story, but you know what? I am going to put a sugarcoat on top of it and say it's a wonderful story because it's had a good outcome.
It has.
I don't know if we want to get into that because you've told the story before, but what I did want to get into is the volunteering that you're doing. You joined...
Oh, man, we've been doing a lot of volunteering for years just because we're a produce farm
I'm talking
initially.
about the municipal volunteering.
Oh, yeah, we started about last year. We started going to meetings and town selectmen and the boards and the planning boards, and we go to one committee and they'd say, oh, well, what did this committee say? And then we'd go to that committee and they'd say, oh, well, what did this committee say?
Information all over the place.
Yeah, so I ended up asking our town selectmen if we could just establish a craft cannabis cooperative committee where we could have a member from each one of these boards sit down together and figure this out instead of me running and trying to get everybody else's opinion. And
so you, a little person,
just a little farmer in Westport,
said, nobody's actually sitting on my town representing our movement. So I'm going to step up and do this. So this tells people, if you're watching this and your town has moratoriums or an outright ban, it's because the education's not there. You can do what Averyl did, and you can go to your town, you can go to your municipal, political movement and say, hey, we're here.
And this is what we want. And a lot of these meetings are done, kind of quietly, and people don't follow, especially in small towns. People don't follow what's happening, so people don't know what's going on.
They get scared.
And they're scared. Prohibitionists, one of the comments that's been made to me at a lot of these events is that, a lot of these meetings is, oh, well, where are the farmers at? How come there are no farmers with you?
And I'm fighting for farmers.
And I'm saying I'm fighting for those farmers. It's like they're afraid to step up and say something because the stigma that gets attached to them can cripple their businesses that are already struggling.
And that leads to other problems.
Yes.
I've read that the suicide rate among farmers is extremely high because, I mean, if you think about it, I love history. And when the Dust Bowl happened, if farmers were pushed out, suicide rates were high. They all went out to California. They found their way to do things, and things worked out. But we're now in a new generation where these megacorps, Monsanto, Bayer, they're pushing farmers out.
Well, the government, I don't want to start the government, but the government did put about 50 plus years ago, started a whole get your boys out of the fields, initiative. And it was this whole big push to get the boys out of the fields and get them into the colleges. And college is awesome, but we also need trade school and we need our farmers. So
we need food.
Our average farmer right now is 65 years old. Women farmers only represent like 7% of the national farm numbers. And the USDA actually just came out with a new thing that said the average farm medium nationally income is minus $1,548.
How do you survive?
How do you survive? You survive on passion, and these farmers are sad because these properties have been in their families for hundreds of years, and they're on the verge of losing them. Their options are to lease out their land to solar, which once you submit your land to solar, you never get it back. You can't turn beautiful farmland into solar and have all these trucks
Where's the food gonna come from?
And you lose your food. I mean, we lose, I think it's an acre of farmland every 3 minutes in the United States.
It kills me. I have a very good friend who lives up in, or used to live up in Rumsfeld, Maine, and he had a farm.
Yep.
Guess who moved in next door?
Monsanto?
Poland Springs.
Oh, yeah.
Or Stolen Springs.
Yep, Stolen Springs.
I mean, he eventually, they sucked all the water away from his farm.
Yep.
He had to sell the farm literally in.
My mom was like that in Presque Isle, Maine. Poland Springs did the same thing when she lived up in Presque Isle, Maine, and they came in. Water regulations are hard, and nobody's fighting for the farmer. I've even had people come to me and say, "Oh, well, we're gonna have this big crash, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be down to $400 a pound." And I look at them and say, "You show me the farmer that's making $400 a pound on any single crop they're growing, and I want to meet them and I want to learn what they're doing because they are a master." Farmers need to be given an opportunity to grow an agricultural crop.
They need the incentive, and this is why. When we talk about the equity programs with the CCC and some of the farm bills that are being passed in the House and the Senate, farmers need to be represented more. And this is what I love about you speaking up for the farmers. But let's talk a little bit more about Between the Rows.
Oh. Well, Between the Rows, we actually found out about a little over a year ago that farmers were included in this program. So we knew our fellow farmers didn't know, so we just started fighting for it. And like I said, now we do have our committee going. We've finalized all of our bylaws and the zoning regulations because we're really trying to bring it to town in a nice little package that can be implemented immediately. We don't want to put in something that's going to take a year to figure out the regulations and the zoning, and we're bringing it to town meeting in a nice, perfectly packaged item that can really be enforceable right now.
And the sky's not falling.
It's not.
But all right.
The sky's going to get a lot higher when farmers have that opportunity.
It is. And again, when I talk about small business and bringing up the capital around your community, farmers are doing the same exact thing. If a farmer has more liquid income, they can get better equipment. They can maybe pay off that mortgage on the farm.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize that the agricultural minimum wage is $9 an hour. As it continues to grow in other industries, it doesn't grow in farming. And that's part of our issue. We can't afford to pay employees more than $9 an hour, but at the same token, how are you supposed to look at somebody and say, I'm going to give you $9 an hour to sweat in my 100+ degree fields? We need to be able to pay our employees a livable wage, and giving us a crop to subsidize that with is the way to do it.
Especially here in Massachusetts, where it's got to be tougher than other parts of the country that they have better climate, better material to work with. Better.
Well, we hear that a lot with people. They say, "Oh, in New England, we can't do that, and we can't," and farmers are ingenuitive. There's always this, "Oh, that's just a dumb farmer. They're just dumb farmers." Well, farmers wear lots of hats, and we're weather forecasters, and we're mechanics, and
you're electricians.
We're
everything.
We're builders, and we're geneticists. When we find those seeds that work best in our communities and in our particular lands, and we save those seeds and we raise those plants, and we look for the varieties that grow best in our communities. And so I feel allowing farmers to do that, that's the only way in our climate we're gonna make it, is by allowing these farmers who have been working their soil. Nobody knows your soil better than your farmer who's been working it day in and day out for years and years and years.
This is, who's missing from this conversation? Apple Guy.
Apple Guy.
Apple Guy could sit here and talk farming all day long, and with why is your other half never in the picture here? Nathan's always
he's
hanging
a shy
aside.
I know. One-on-one, you'll get him to talk forever.
You get him to talk for stuff. But
he's a shy guy, and he prefers to be in the field. He likes to be elbow deep in the dirt, learning that and doing that. And I tell them all the time, I know a lot of the regulations, but that's one of the things we also promote about the co-op is the fact that one particular person doesn't have to be the know-it for every single aspect. I tend to know, I've been dealing with the boards, I've been doing the committees, I was an English major.
Where to go to get your information when you need to get it.
Right, so I've been doing that kind of aspect of it where he really focuses on the actual growing of it and the actual, and I know a lot about plant growth, obviously, because I'm a farmer and, a long-time cannabis consumer and grower.
Well,
but
you know what I'm a little jealous of? The husband-wife grow-off. I know you guys must have had the, I can outgrow you, or no way, I can outgrow you.
That's one of, I tell people I'm really lucky, people, I had a friend say to me about 10 years ago that, she said that we ruined marriage for her. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And she said, I didn't think people could really be happy. She's like, and you guys are legit happy. And I'm like, we are, don't get me wrong. We have our bickers, but this will be our 24th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this year will be 24 years,
Congratulations.
So I know him and he knows me and I've got him and he's got me and we will have some competition. I'm not one of them nice moms. We go bowling. I am out bowling every one of you, and I'm talking my smack while I'm doing it. I might really lose.
So,
but
hey, Nathan, look at this. My trichomes are way frostier than yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do it all the time. It's like, I bet I could get this done quicker than you can, and I can build this faster than you. And, friendly competition builds our society,
absolutely.
really. We need competition, and that's what makes craft so great because craft, it's craft. It's not your Budweiser.
Speaking of competition, so I'm finding out here at NECANN, there's all sorts of prizes. In competition, you won something.
I did. I'm super excited. I won a PAX from The Botanist. I'm super excited about that. They called yesterday. I was like, that's, farmers are notoriously kind of poor, too. So anytime we can win something, we're excited.
Absolutely. And we had The Botanist on yesterday. And no, I'm sorry, Friday was the first day. Wonderful organization.
Really nice over there, and they're new, and and that's what we're trying to really support is these local people, the new local guys. I met a great group over called Bay Grown, I think, and great group of young guys who've been friends since they were kids, and now they're starting their stuff out in Rochester, and I got to see Goldie in the UCGA.
Absolutely.
And she's just amazing.
Hey, so you guys have something similar where you do events as well.
Yeah, we've done 3 educational events so far. We're planning another one for Cinco de Mayo so people can
Cinco de
follow.
Mayo.
Yeah, it's
so
Cinco de
tell
Mayo.
me more about that because I'm sure the people watching this would want to learn how they can get involved.
Absolutely. People can check on follow. We're still accepting a couple sponsorship spots.
Nice.
We're doing a real deep educational discussion. We've done a few panels so far and people really got some good information. But I feel like there's still some confusion about what the different programs are and how people can access those specific programs. So we're going to really do, we're going to have a panel that really focuses on the social equity program and really deep dive into it, the economic empowerment applications and applicants and what that really means and dive into it. Really explain to people the different licenses and how they can get involved. I've had somebody come to me after one of my events saying, I didn't know where I fit in this and I keep going to these places trying to figure out because he's saying, I'm not a grower. He's like, I'm a consumer, but I'm a software sort of guy. And it's like, you are perfect for co-ops because farmers are notorious for being bad at paperwork.
Well, this is what I talked about yesterday in my presentation, that there are so many ancillary businesses or skill sets that tie into this business and could be used. There was a guy, again, an IT guy, who I'm trying to figure out where I can put my skills to use in the cannabis industry. And it's like, hey, everybody, co-ops, small business, that's where it is.
It is, and so we're going to really dive deep into the different licensings and, like I said, the auxiliary positions and how people, like I said, just to really get people involved. We're going to do another municipality panel and, explain to people and show them that these are the different steps you can take, whether it's small town or big city. This is your community. First and foremost, this is yours, and we need to let people know this is our stance and where we stand, and we're going to vote for the people who vote how we want.
That's the way it works.
We vote with our dollar every single day. Every single day, and we need to let people know that this is where I want my money to be. I want my money local. I want my representatives to represent me. And even at our committee, We really started hardcore meeting in January, because there was some pushback and a whole bunch of propaganda and a whole lot of hooplas that, was unnecessary. But we finally hurdled over that, and in January we started meeting, and we had a few meetings where people from the community come in and say, well, what about this? What's my question? I have a concern about that. And we're like, oh, that's a great, because everybody thinks about things differently. All of our minds work. I look at it on a farming scale and the land scale, where somebody else might look at it on, a building scale or from an artistic view, and not everybody sees everybody's things. So somebody stands up and says, oh, well, what about this? And that brings it up like, oh, that's a valid point.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure this out and let's work through it.
Yep.
So then people aren't afraid, so the plan we're trying to bring up for our May 7th vote is really a plan that a lot of the community took part in. They came to our public hearings. They, I would be at the meeting and say, oh, somebody mentioned on Facebook X, Y, and Z, and we would get talking about that and make the laws that benefit farmers. And our bylaws are really, and I want to let people know, they can reach out to us anytime.
So speaking of reaching out to you, we can find you on Facebook.
Yep.
You have a website?
We don't have a website yet, but we do have email. It's betweentherowsfarm@gmail.com.
Okay.
We are more than willing to share anything and everything we have done so far. Our bylaws, if you're a farming community out there, our bylaws and zoning bylaws are really...
So, all right, you heard it here from Averyl, Between the Row Farms. This is Ed D'Souza coming at you from NECANN TV. Come on down. Peace.
Bye.